You, the founder, the driving force, you get hit with this wave of burnout, of exhaustion that is so heavy, you could barely lift your head off the pillow.
And so you retreat.
You retreat, you hide, you start obsessing over tiny tech glitches instead of, closing the deals that are right in front of you. I want to paint a picture.
Okay.
A scenario that I think is going to feel, well, probably uncomfortably familiar for a lot of you listening.
Mm-hmm.
You're an ambitious person, right?
Mm.
You've built something, a business, a career, a creative practice, whatever it is. And you're right there. You're on the precipice of this massive leap.
The next level.
Exactly, the next level. Let's say you're aiming for that, that mid-six-figure jump, or maybe you're about to close a seven-figure deal.
The stakes are incredibly high.
The stakes are huge. And logically, on paper, you're ready. I mean, you've done all the work. You've read every single book. You've hired the expensive consultants. Your strategy it's bulletproof.
The funnel is optimized. The copy is polished.
Everything is polished. The math says go. But then, what happens?
Nothing.
Silence.
Crickets.
Or worse than nothing, the wheels come off.
The wheels come completely off. And it's not because of some big external thing like the market crashed or competitor launched. It's weird, little, inexplicable stuff.
Yeah. The top-tier leads, the ones who were just, begging to work with you a week ago, suddenly they ghost you.
Just vanish. Won't return an email.
Or your tech stack, which has been solid as a rock for 3 years, decides to just implode on the morning of your biggest launch.
Of course. Perfect timing.
Always. Or, and this is the one that really hits me, you, the founder, the driving force, you get hit with this wave of burnout, of exhaustion that is so heavy, you could barely lift your head off the pillow.
And so you retreat.
You retreat, you hide, you start obsessing over tiny tech glitches instead of, closing the deals that are right in front of you.
It's the absolute paradox of success, isn't it? We see it constantly. You're consciously pushing for this massive expansion, but your reality, what's actually happening, is contraction.
And what do we do when that happens? We immediately beat ourselves up.
Oh, 100%.
We say, I'm just procrastinating, or I'm self-sabotaging, or I just need to hustle harder. I need more discipline.
It's your classic narrative.
But the research stack we are diving into today, it just completely challenges that entire story. The core thesis here, and look, this is going to upset some people, but it might just save your sanity.
I think it will.
The argument is devastatingly simple. You do not have a marketing problem. You don't even really have a mindset problem.
You have a safety problem.
A safety problem. That distinction feels huge.
It's vital. Because what we're doing here is moving away from the psychology of success, which is all about your thoughts, your beliefs, affirmations.
The conscious mind stuff.
Right. And we're entering a new field. The source material calls it the biophysics of wealth.
Biophysics. Okay, that sounds intense.
Yeah.
It sounds serious. It implies that there are actual laws of nature at play here, not just, good vibes or positive thinking.
Precisely. Because it's about the actual hardware of your body. The central idea comes from taking modern entrepreneurship and integrating it with the work of Dr. Stephen Porges, specifically his polyvagal theory.
Okay, I've heard that term, but can you break it down? What's the core premise?
The premise is that your nervous system has a biological set point. Think of it like a thermostat for how much energy, how much visibility, and how much responsibility it can handle at any given time.
A capacity limit.
A very real physical capacity limit. And if you try to push past that set point, let's say by suddenly trying to double your revenue and your team size, your body doesn't register success. It doesn't see dollar signs. It sees threat.
Wow. So if I'm understanding this correctly, my conscious mind, the CEO part of my brain, is saying, I want the Ferrari and the freedom and the impact. But my ancient nervous system, the part that's actually running the show, is saying, this looks like a really, really great way to die.
That is exactly it. You have to remember, your nervous system's primary job is not to make you rich. It's not to make you famous or fulfilled.
Its only job is survival.
Survival, full stop. It is a biological governor on the engine of your ambition. So if it calculates that the voltage, the sheer energy of this new level of success, the pressure, all the eyes on you, the complexity of it all, is too high for your current capacity,
It pulls the plug.
it exercises a veto. Every single time, it will shut the whole operation down to keep you safe.
And that veto, that's what we're calling the invisible ceiling.
That's the invisible ceiling. It's why you see these brilliant entrepreneurs hit, say, 500,000 in revenue and then immediately, almost predictably, burn it all to the ground.
Or they get mysteriously sick.
Or they start picking fights with their best clients or their star employees. They aren't crazy. They are just regulating their nervous system back down to a baseline that feels familiar and safe.
This changes everything. It really does. Because if the problem is biological, if it's in the hardware, then just thinking positive is? It's like trying to put a Band-Aid on a broken leg.
It's the wrong tool for the job. It's completely mismatched.
You're trying to solve a hardware problem with a software patch.
Perfect analogy. And that's why we have to start treating this as a morale issue or a discipline issue and start treating it as a capacity issue. We have to look at how to architect what the source calls a somatic container.
A somatic container. I love that phrase. It's so physical.
Yeah.
It implies that wealth, success, visibility, it all has weight. It has volume.
It does.
And if your container is the size of a thimble, you can't pour a gallon of water into it without making a huge mess.
Or you just break the thimble entirely.
Right. So, okay, let's get into the mechanics of this. To really understand why our bodies might be rejecting our own goals, we have to start with a concept you mentioned earlier. It's a key part of polyvagal theory. It's called neuroception.
Yes.
Now, I know you love a good definition, so break this down for us. How is neuroception different from just normal perception?
It's a really critical distinction to make. Perception, as we normally think of it, is a cognitive process. It involves the thinking part of your brain, the neocortex.
So conscious thought.
Conscious thought. You look at a profit and loss statement, you see the red line going down, and you think, oh, revenue's dropping. That's bad. I should be concerned. That's perception. Neuroception, a term coined by Dr. Porges, is entirely subconscious. It is a detection system that operates in the most primitive parts of your brain, the brainstem, and through your entire nervous system. It's constantly scanning your environment and also your internal state millisecond by millisecond.
And what's it looking for?
It's asking one simple binary question over and over again. Am I safe or am I in danger?
And this is happening before I'm even aware of it, before I have a single thought about it.
Long before. By the time you consciously think the words, I feel anxious, your neuroception has already detected a potential threat, it has already flooded your system with cortisol, and it's already changed your heart rate and your breathing patterns.
So it's like a background app running on your phone.
That's a great way to put it. It's a background app that's constantly draining the battery, but it never shows up on your home screen. You just feel the effects, the low energy, the irritability, the brain fog.
Okay, so let's connect this directly to our topic. The spiritual entrepreneur, or really anyone who's building a personal brand. Why on earth does our neuroception flag making more money or getting more visible as a danger? I mean, you'd think biologically more resources should equal more safety.
Right. More food, better shelter, better protection for your offspring. It seems logical in our modern world. But our wiring is ancient. It hasn't had a software update in a couple 100,000 years. So we have to look at the evolutionary history of being seen.
The tribal context.
The tribal context.
Yeah.
For the vast majority of human history, your individual survival was completely dependent on belonging to the tribe. If you stood out too much, if you were too much, if you challenged the norms or the hierarchy,
You risk being kicked out.
expulsion. And in the Paleolithic era, isolation meant death. You couldn't survive the winter alone. You couldn't fight off a predator alone. So being cast out was a death sentence.
So there's this deep, archaic code literally written into our autonomic nervous system that says, blend in. Don't make waves. Don't rise above your station. Stay in the middle of the herd where it's safe.
Exactly. The foundational biological belief is visibility is vulnerability.
Wow.
Now, fast forward to today. You're trying to launch a podcast that reaches millions. Or you're running a Facebook ad campaign with your face on it. Or you're preparing to stand on a stage in front of 1,000 people.
You're doing the exact opposite of blending in.
You are continuously signaling to your ancient nervous system, I am deliberately exposing myself to the tribe. I am making myself a target for judgment and attack.
And neuroception just goes haywire.
It starts screaming, danger! It doesn't matter that the danger is just a mean comment on Instagram or a critical email. The body responds with the same physiological cascade as if you were being hunted by a lion.
This explains a very specific feeling that I'm sure many of us have had. You know that moment when you're about to post something a bit controversial, or you're about to hit send on a really high-ticket proposal? You get that physical, it's like a clenching in your gut or your chest.
A contraction.
Yes, a contraction. So that feeling, That's not our intuition telling us it's a bad business idea.
Not necessarily. It's your neuroception telling you it's an unsafe idea from a biological standpoint.
And we misinterpret that signal all the time. We think, oh, it just doesn't feel aligned or the timing isn't right.
When in reality, it's just terrifying to your biology. And this leads to a very striking metaphor used in the source material. It says that to an uncleared, unregulated nervous system, your millionaire self looks like a predator.
That is such a heavy image. The millionaire self as predator. Let's really unpack that. Why a predator specifically?
Well, think about the energetic signature of a highly successful version of you. That person is high visibility. They are in the spotlight. They hold massive responsibility for employees, for clients, for large sums of capital, for their audience's trust. They are constantly navigating high-stakes decisions where a lot is on the line.
It's a high-pressure existence.
It is a state of high energetic output to a nervous system that is calibrated and conditioned for a quiet, safe, predictable, low-risk life. That millionaire self looks like a tiger. It looks like pure, relentless stress.
So when I'm sitting there doing my visualizations, trying to imagine my goals, my body isn't seeing a beautiful future. It's basically visualizing a monster coming to eat my peace of mind.
In a way, yes. You are visualizing a state of being that your current nervous system interprets as fundamentally unsustainable, maybe even lethal. It doesn't have the capacity for that level of charge.
So you end up in this impossible conflict. And the source calls this the gas and brake dynamic.
Oh, I know this one intimately. I think we all do.
Describe it.
You have one foot slammed down on the accelerator. That's your ambition, your vision board, your strategy, your conscious desire. You are saying, go, go, go.
Full speed ahead.
But because of this powerful subconscious neuroception of threat, you have your other foot slammed down just as hard on the brake. That's your vagus nerve, your entire autonomic nervous system trying to keep you safe from this perceived predator.
And what happens to a car when you floor both the gas and the brake at the exact same time?
You make a lot of noise. The engine screams. You burn through an incredible amount of fuel, which, in this analogy, is your adrenal reserves, your life force.
You generate massive heat.
Massive heat, inflammation, burnout, chronic stress, irritation, anxiety. But physically, in terms of actual movement.
You don't move an inch. You're stuck.
That is the lived experience of hustle culture for so many people. It's maximum effort, zero displacement. You're completely and utterly exhausted at the end of the day, but the bank account isn't moving. The needle isn't shifting.
And it's so tragic because the interpretation from the outside and even from the inside is usually, I'm not pushing hard enough.
I need more willpower.
So what do? You press even harder on the gas. But the physics of this are clear. The harder you press the gas, the harder that survival instinct is going to press the brake to compensate.
You cannot out-hustle your own biology. It will win every time.
This is a perfect segue because I think we need to see what this looks like in the wild. It's one thing to talk about neuroception and the vagus nerve in the abstract, but the source material gives us this really compelling, really human case study.
Yes.
It's the story of the London photo shoot.
And this story is so brilliant because it really breaks down the timeline, the before and after, how we usually react to setbacks versus how an integrated, regulated system can react.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The narrator of the story, let's call her the protagonist of our deep dive today, has booked this really high-stakes photo shoot in London.
And we're not talking about some simple headshots in a studio.
No, this is a major investment. A whole team of stylists, makeup artists, a top photographer. They're planning night shoots with the city lights. This is a statement.
It's a rebranding. It's a public declaration of, I have arrived at this new level.
So it's a somatic signal of stepping up. She is literally paying a lot of money to be seen in a much bigger, more powerful way.
And logically, she thinks she's ready.
Completely. The deposit is paid.
Yes.
The whole marketing plan for the next 6 months is built around these new images. Her conscious mind is fully on board. It's excited.
But the source introduces a fascinating concept here. It draws a line between clean excitement and, well, what was actually going on underneath.
Talk about that. What's clean excitement?
Clean excitement is pure, unadulterated positive energy. There's no fear mixed in. It's just open, expansive joy. But what many of us do is we perform excitement. We tell our friends, oh my God, I'm so pumped for this launch.
Right.
But the source asks a crucial question. Is it clean excitement? Or is there a little flicker, a subtle frequency of panic buzzing underneath it? Is there a low hum of static?
And that static, that's the neuroception of threat, isn't it?
It is. It's the body's subtle bracing for impact. It's the brake pedal being gently applied even while you're talking about how excited you are. And in the story, the protagonist, like most of us would, she just ignores the static.
Pushes through, feel the fear, and do it anyway.
Exactly. She packs her bags. She's ready to go.
And then, the night before she's supposed to travel, she has a dream. She dreams, she opens her phone to check the train times to London, and the app on her phone just goes completely black, no roads found, no trains running, just a digital dead end.
Now, you can call that intuition, you can call it a premonition, or you could just say it's her subconscious processing the threat signals it has already picked up from her body. But whatever it was, she wakes up feeling pretty shaken.
So she does what anyone would do. She grabs her actual phone, opens the actual train app, and reality is mirroring the dream.
Unbelievable.
Every single train from her town to London is canceled. A notification pops up. Service is suspended due to a broken rail.
And here we are. This is the moment. The universe, or just physics and entropy, has thrown a massive wrench in the gears. And this is the pivot point. Because the broken rail is just a fact. It's neutral data.
Right. A rail is broken. That's it.
But the reaction to that neutral data is what determines everything. It determines whether she is operating from a place of safety and sovereignty or from a place of force and desperation.
Okay, so let's analyze the two paths. Let's look at the old self reaction first, because I think I have lived this reaction about 100 times in my life. The source describes what she would have done in the past.
The old self is driven by what the source calls the causation fallacy and a deep sense of insecurity. So the internal narrative would have been something like, the universe is testing me, I have to prove how badly I want this.
Or, the flip side, I'm being blocked. This is a sign that I'm not worthy of this.
Oh, the spiraling. Why does this kind of thing always happen to me?
Totally.
And the behavioral response that follows that narrative would be what the source calls the high cortisol hustle.
The hustle. So what would that have looked like?
She would have immediately jumped in her car, no question. She would have driven 4, maybe 5 hours into central London, fighting traffic the whole way, adrenaline pumping through her veins, stressing about being late, calling the team.
Arriving at the shoot, a complete mess.
Right.
Dehydrated, exhausted, frantic.
But here's the key. She would have made it. She would have gotten the photos.
So the outcome would have been a success.
She would have gotten the result, yes. But at what cost to her system? She would have arrived in a state of pure survival. She would be viscerally, physically signaling to her nervous system. See? I told you. Being this visible is hard. It's a struggle. It's a fight. It is a war.
She reinforces the predator narrative.
Deeply. She literally reinforces the idea that her millionaire self is a dangerous tiger that requires a painful, exhausting hunt to capture.
So even when she wins, she loses. She just deepens the groove in her brain that says success equals suffering.
Precisely. And that ensures the invisible ceiling stays right where it is, solid as ever. But that's not what she did this time. This time, the source says there was an identity shift.
So tell us what she actually did.
She sat down. She looked at the all trains canceled notification on her phone. And instead of spiraling into panic or hustle, she checked inside.
What does that mean, checked inside?
She literally took a moment and scanned her own body. What was she feeling? And what she found was calm.
Calm. In that moment, I would be freaking out.
That's the shift. She found a sense of groundedness. And in that calm, she had a realization. The trains were just trains. The broken rail wasn't a judgment from the universe. It wasn't a sign she was unworthy. It was just information.
And more importantly,
she realized that the win for the day wasn't getting the photos.
this is the key line in the whole story for me. The win wasn't the photos.
The win was moving toward this new level of visibility without abandoning herself in the process.
Abandoning herself. That hits hard. How often do we abandon our own well-being, our own boundaries, our own physical and mental sanity just to make it happen?
All the time. We treat ourselves like fuel for the fire of our ambition. But here, in this moment, she practiced what the source calls sovereignty.
So what did she do?
She picked up the phone, she called the photographer, and she said very calmly, "Hi, I'm so sorry, but I can't make it today. The trains are all down. We'll need to reschedule."
And surely she felt a wave of guilt, or like a failure for not pushing through.
That's the breakthrough. She didn't. There was no internal collapse. There was no shame spiral. There was no feeling of contraction. It was just a factual statement of reality. I am not coming today.
And the source argues that this capacity, the ability to hold a boundary, to accept reality without collapsing when things go wrong, that's actually the millionaire identity in practice.
It is, because it's self-led.
Right.
It is not dependent on external validation or on forcing a specific outcome. By prioritizing her own safety and her own sanity over the hustle, she was fundamentally renegotiating the treaty with her nervous system.
How so?
She proved to her body through action, I am a safe person to be in charge. I've got you. I will not abuse you to get a result.
And when the nervous system finally believes that,
It takes its foot off the brake.
it can relax.
Exactly, because you are no longer a threat to yourself.
I just want to pause here because this is such a massive reframe. We are so conditioned to think the block is external. It's the broken train, the glitchy tech, the difficult client. But the block is actually our internal reaction to the external event.
Yes.
If we can stay sovereign, if we can stay regulated in the face of the chaos, the block it dissolves.
The external circumstance loses its power over your physiology,
Yeah.
and that right there is true power.
Okay, so this is all making a ton of sense. We've diagnosed the problem. It's a safety and capacity issue, not a strategy issue. We've seen the case study, the difference between force and sovereignty. So now I want to get into the how-to. I want to get practical.
Okay.
The source material outlines a kind of protocol. It calls it the physics of wealth. How do we actually tangibly move from that high cortisol hustle state to this sovereign self-led state?
There are 3 specific steps outlined, and they follow a really logical progression from, say, psychology to biology.
All right, let's hear them. Step 1 is a linguistic shift, but the source insists it's a crucial first move. It's called acknowledge the protection.
This is a big one. We need to completely retire the word self-sabotage from our vocabulary.
I don't know if I can. It's such a handy all-purpose excuse for everything. Oh, I'm just sabotaging myself again.
I know, but think about the energy of that word. Sabotage is an act of war. It implies malice. It implies that there's a part of you that is broken or stupid or actively working against you.
It creates an internal enemy.
Exactly. When you tell yourself, I am self-sabotaging, you are literally attacking your own system. You are creating an internal adversary. And how does the nervous system respond to an attack?
By defending itself.
Yeah.
By bracing.
Right. You just increase the stress and the contraction. The source says, from now on, call it protection. If you find yourself procrastinating on a big launch, your body isn't sabotaging you. It is protecting you from the perceived danger of that launch.
So instead of fighting it or being angry with myself, I should thank it.
Literally. The practice is to put your hand on your heart and say out loud, thank you, nervous system, for working so hard to keep me safe from the danger of being rich and seen and responsible.
That feels, I have to admit, that feels weirdly relief-inducing just hearing you say it.
It's a pattern interrupt. It's powerful. Instead of shame, which always contracts, you're bringing in gratitude and compassion, which always expand. You're acknowledging the positive intent of your own biology, which immediately lowers the internal threat level.
Okay, so step 1, stop the civil war. Reframe sabotage as protection. What's step 2?
Step 2 is where we get into the heavy-hitting science. The instruction is to expand the container. And this brings in the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Right. We hear his name a lot in this space.
Yeah.
But let's get specific about the mechanism here. We're talking about coherence, right?
Yes, specifically heart and brain coherence. And this isn't just a fluffy New Age metaphor. It's a measurable physiological state.
How so?
Usually when we're stressed or operating in that force mode, our heart rate variability, or HRV, is low and chaotic. If you were to graph the heart rhythm, it would look like a jagged, erratic scribble.
And that scribble signals predator to the brain.
Correct. The brain gets that signal from the heart and says, the heart is freaking out, something is wrong. Shut down the creative long-term planning centers and activate the short-term survival centers. You literally become dumber and more reactive.
Okay, so what is coherence?
Coherence is when you consciously regulate your breathing and your emotional state, and the heart's rhythm becomes smooth, ordered, and sine wave-like. It's a state of biological harmony.
And Dr. Dispenza talks a lot about the electromagnetic field this creates.
He does. Because when the heart is in this coherent state, the magnetic field it generates, which is far stronger than the brain's, expands and becomes more powerful. It can be measured several feet outside the body. This is the biophysics part we talked about. You are physically changing your energetic broadcast signal to the world.
So the actual practice here isn't just visualize having more money. It's Visualize having more money while actively holding this coherent state in your body.
That is the crucial and very difficult part. Most people, when they think about getting that 500,000 pounds, they get excited. But what is that excitement physiologically? Their heart rate spikes. Their breathing gets shallow. It becomes incoherent.
So they are practicing wealth equals stress.
They are literally training their nervous system to associate their goal with a state of biological alarm.
So the real work is training the body to hold the frequency of wealth while remaining chemically, biologically calm and safe.
Exactly. You are insulating the electrical wires of your nervous system so they can handle a higher voltage. If you pump a high voltage of energy, like a huge influx of cash and responsibility, through a flimsy, uninsulated wire, what happens?
It melts, it shorts out.
It shorts out. Coherence is how you thicken the wire. It's how you build the capacity to handle more energy without frying your system.
Which leads perfectly into step 3, identity proactivity. The source talks about avoiding the causation fallacy.
This might be the single biggest lie in the entire world of entrepreneurship and personal development.
What is it?
The fallacy is this belief: I will feel safe when I have the money.
When I get 7 figures, then I'll finally take a breath.
When I have $1 million in the bank, then I'll be able to relax and feel secure. It's the biggest trap because your nervous system doesn't work that way. It works on prediction and past experience.
So if I don't feel safe now, with my current level of income and responsibility,
Your nervous system predicts that adding more pressure, which money and success inevitably bring, will make you even less safe. It will fight you tooth and nail to prevent that from happening.
so the order is reversed.
Completely. You don't get the money to become the person. You have to become the person who views that amount of money as a neutral asset before it can arrive and stay.
Neutrality. There's that word again. It seems to be the holy grail word in this entire text.
It is, because most of us have such a huge emotional charge around money. It's either the solution to all our problems, our savior, or it's the root of all evil, a source of stress and corruption. It's never just a
You
thing.
need to strip the charge off it.
Exactly. The source uses a really simple analogy. Money is just a tool. It's like a hammer.
A hammer. Explain that.
Well, a hammer is a powerful tool, right? It can build a house, or it can be used as a weapon. It has potential for creation and destruction.
Sure.
But when you look at a hammer just sitting there on a workbench,
Yeah.
do you feel unworthy of it? Do you get a massive dopamine rush? Do you panic about the responsibility of owning it?
No, of course not. It's just there. It's a hammer.
It is neutral. It is available. It is useful for certain jobs. You need to get to a place where 500,000 pounds feels like a hammer. Not a savior, not a devil, not the definition of your self-worth, just a useful resource in your toolkit.
That is incredibly difficult when our entire culture has conditioned us to see money as the primary solution to all our survival needs.
It is, which is precisely why we need a dedicated practice. You can't just think your way into this. You can't just decide to feel neutral about money. You have to train your body.
And the source gives us a very specific, very simple exercise for this. It's called the 5-minute practice. And I want to walk through this very carefully because I think everyone listening should try this today.
I agree. It's an incredibly potent exercise, mainly because of its unusual constraint.
Okay, so talk us through it. What do we do?
You sit down somewhere quiet for 5 minutes. You can set a timer. You close your eyes. And you bring to mind your bank account, and you see it showing your target number. Let's say it's £1 million for this example.
Okay, I'm picturing it. £1 million.
Now, here is the crucial instruction, the part everyone gets wrong. The instruction is, do not look for excitement.
That is the exact opposite of every single manifestation or law of attraction technique I have ever heard in my life.
I know.
Usually it's all feel the joy, feel the thrill of having it, generate the feeling of excitement.
The source says, no, do not do that. Instead, look for neutrality. Even better, look for boredom.
Boredom.
Yeah.
You want me to be bored by the idea of having £1 million? That sounds impossible.
Think about it from a physiological nervous system perspective. What does the feeling of boredom mean to your body?
It means nothing interesting or dangerous is happening. It means everything is predictable. It means safety.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are bored by things that are consistent, reliable, and completely non-threatening. You are bored by gravity. You don't wake up every day thrilled that gravity is still working.
Right.
You are bored by the fact that there is oxygen in this room for you to breathe. You just expect it to be there. It is normal. It is safe.
So the goal is to make the money feel like oxygen.
Yes. If you can sit and look at that number in your mind's eye and feel a sense of calm, grounded, almost boring neutrality, You are sending the most powerful signal possible to your nervous system. You are telling it, this is normal, this is our new baseline, this is safe. We do not need to veto this reality.
That is such a profoundly counterintuitive goal. My goal is to be bored by my own success.
It's the only way to sustain it without burning out. If success is always thrilling and exciting, you are always living in a state of high arousal, of sympathetic activation, eventually you will crash. Boredom is sustainability.
It's the difference between a firework and a hearth.
Oh, that's a great analogy. Say more.
Well, a firework is incredibly exciting. It's a huge, thrilling burst of energy, but it's gone in seconds. A hearth, a fireplace, it's kind of boring. It just sits there glowing. But it's the hearth that keeps the house warm all winter long.
That's beautiful. We are not building firework wealth, we are building hearth wealth.
I want to zoom out for a second and just look at the bigger picture here. We've talked about biology, we've talked about physics, psychology, but at the end of the day, what we're really talking about is freedom, isn't it?
It is. The freedom from that internal push-pull.
And the source text ends with a call to action. It's a single word that is meant to anchor this entire philosophy. And that word is sovereign.
Sovereignty is the antidote to the invisible ceiling.
What does that word mean to you in this specific context we've been discussing?
To me, sovereignty means that your internal state, your sense of safety, worth, and calm is not held hostage by your external results.
It's not conditional.
It's not conditional. It means you can pursue a massive, ambitious goal with everything you've got, but you are not defined by whether you achieve it or not. You are safe whether the train runs on time or not. You are safe whether the client signs the contract or ghosts you.
And ironically, when you don't need the client to sign in order to feel safe and okay, they are so much more likely to sign.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because they can feel your regulation. They can feel your sovereignty. Desperation has a smell, and it smells like threat.
Yeah.
Sovereignty smells like safety. And people always want to move toward and buy from safety.
So here's my final challenge, my final thought for you listening today. We all have that one goal, that number, that achievement, that level of visibility that feels just out of reach. The one that, if you're honest, makes your stomach tighten up just a little bit when you think about it. I want you to ask yourself, what would it look like to pursue that goal without the internal contraction, without the hustle?
What would it look like to consciously, deliberately take your foot off the brake while you're still pressing the gas?
And try the practice. Try the 5-minute neutrality exercise. Sit with that number. Sit with that vision. And just stay with it until you are bored to tears by it.
It might just be the most profitable 5 minutes of boredom you'll ever experience.
I think we've given them more than enough to chew on. This has been a truly massive reframe for me.
Absolutely. It changes the whole game.
Thanks for diving in with us. And remember, you don't need to fight your biology anymore. You just need to learn how to understand it and work with it.
See you next time.
Take care.
So when Gina offered me the opportunity to do this, I jumped for it because I think anything that you can do that is going to chip away at these limiting the beliefs of things that hold you back is really, really worth doing. So it's been a really lovely experience, and if anybody's a bit worried about it, just do it, because the opportunity to connect through havening is really, really powerful. It's really, really powerful.
But really helpful, I think, in terms of having that kind of guided process just to kind of let the ideas and the feelings and the images flow, and then try and work out what it actually means afterwards, and to come up with, and it made intuitive sense. It's really, really helpful to then kind of have that debrief of, okay, what can we actually do with this stuff? Because that's where we tend to get stuck, is kind of like coming out of it going, oh, this is all some really interesting ideas and thoughts and feelings and images. But yeah, then, you know, how can we actually harness them to do something different? And I think that's been really, really helpful in terms of clarifying really what I need to prioritize to go forward in a way that will deal with some of that stuff that came up.
I would like to point out that I'm actually a therapist myself, and sometimes therapists also need a therapist. So I was really stuck, and then one day a friend posted a link for Gina's wealth and money attracting short course, and I went, this sounds great, I'm just gonna book it. And I loved it so much. I really had an epiphany on that course, and It was only meant to be a demonstration, and yet it was really, it just opened up something, possibilities that I was stuck before, and now like, ooh, I can use this to unstuck myself. I'm a great believer that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And you appeared at the right time. That's all there is to it. So, if anybody's watching this video, it means Gina has appeared in your life. So please give it a try.
She walks where the sky meets the sea, a calm in the chaos, wild and free. The light wraps around her soul. She's ready